Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to our March Roundtable. I can't believe that we are in March already. I'm going to turn it over to Rob for our opening, please. You have to unmute, Rob.
There we go.
There you are.
This was called Lincoln's Prayer for the Nation. With malice toward none, with charity for all, with firmness in the right, as God gives us to see right, let us strive to finish the work we are in, to bind up the nation's wounds, to do all which may achieve and cherish a just and lasting peace amongst ourselves and with all nations.
Thank you. Right. Greg, you have different kind of announcements from the council for us.
I do. All right. Number of things, and this will include the summer camp stuff too, Ellie, okay?
Sure.
Let's go through. Yeah, so busy time here in the office. We got a lot of things going on. I know not everything made it onto my slides, so I apologize, but the service center and trading post hours have not changed, but it's just a reminder, if you're looking for some items for pickup and you're going to WOW on the 20th of this month, we're happy to bring those up and have them available for you there. Coming up this.
Hey, can I ask you a quick question on the trading post or in the trading post and the scout store?
Sure.
So I was recently up there looking for uniforms for some of our scouts, and I noticed that the selection, it's pretty standard, but it's missing some of the stuff we had in the past, like the lightweight summer shirts, you know, that are that breathable, like waterproof material and some other stuff.
Yeah,
I have a bunch of parents asking for that.
I know I can't answer the inventory, but I know a number of things have been discontinued and they are streamlining the options. So I can't say that
Okay.
doesn't exist, but the Scout Shop folks might be able to give you more specific. And if you look on scoutshop.org, if it's there, we can get them. But that's a great question. So in March, a number of events are already sold out, but WOA is not. This last month we did sell out, and the number of 80 is to keep people safe, and with the restrictions of having to be in small groups, we want to make sure that people aren't waiting in line all day long and not accessing the program. So if you know you're coming, certainly make that reservation. I don't know if the governor's announcements recently will increase that number. It's really access to the program in the group sizes we have. So I don't expect a change in the group size of 12 or smaller. Silver Beaver nominations are due April 30th. And I know Joshua Hall would love to receive some more nominations. Those can be sent to Joshua or directly to the Westfield Service Center. And we don't have the specifics yet for the district recognition deadlines, but look for that to come. But there's no reason you can't already nominate somebody for the District Award of Merit or some of the other awards, or start filling out the applications for your own recognition awards for training awards. So look for more information coming on that. Always ways to get involved.
Right. Sorry to interrupt. Awards that were submitted for last year?
Those were all given out to the district recognition committee folks. And I think GK, so Donna has GKs, and my understanding was she was delivering them.
Okay.
Another great question. Workday this weekend. We got a lot to get ready up at camp. So if you want to come hang out, come on up and join us. And the typical meetings are there as well. Pinewood Derby, some important updates for everyone. The district Pinewood Derbies, all 3 districts will be running virtual Pinewood Derbies. And information about where to drop off the cars and stuff will be forthcoming. We're working on registration forms. AT and Metacomet are both planning to run theirs on April 10th, and General Knox had a conflict with their site, so they'll run theirs on the 17th of April, but they will be virtual. But what's really important and help us get the word out is units that are unable to have a race. All 3 districts will allow those scouts to run their cars in what I'm calling sort of an open class. But they'll run with the top finalists from the units that race as well, and the computer will be able to determine who are the district winners, and then report out to those units as that were not able to have an event. The AT event, Rebecca Hall is working with. General Knox is Melanie Trexler and Rob Lusty, and Metacomet, Brian Regan is working on those 2 events. The Council Pinewood Derby is going to be run on May 1st, and it also will be live streamed. We have not entirely determined if it'll be truly live stream or if it'll be after the fact. But those events are all going to occur this year with the recognition for the Scouts. So look for more information on all of those. The winners of the district derbies, the cars will be held and brought to the council derby. So we'll eliminate that need for drop-offs. And then Weeblos Woods, just a reminder, Mia Santos Isaac is leading that, and they are planning a day-only event. Adult training is a piece of the council initiative program that was just sent out. So a reminder, a lot of online training. AT has a great training series that they're doing every other month. So the next one is April 17th, and it'll be merit badge counselor training, which is also available online, but this will give sort of that hybrid. It'll be online, but you can have the interaction. And then 3 in-person trainings that I'm aware of. Again, details are being finalized as we're working here, but Baloo, April 17th that weekend with Rob Lusty as the course director. The Scoutmaster outdoor training is the following weekend, and that is Scott Gagne is going to be the course director for that. And then Dave O'Leary, who's on the call here, is putting together a Leave No Trace trainer course for the middle of May. That may be a weekend event if the camping works for us, but he's also putting together plans for a hybrid virtual training for part of it and then in person over the weekend. So summer camp. We're getting really excited. I hope you saw the news. If you watched the 22 news, unfortunately, you may have had to look at my face, which people have told me I had a face for radio. But we were the first group to be included on updates for summer camp. They reached out to us right away and took that opportunity to jump on that. Tomorrow, Western Mass News is coming to the office to interview us as well. So that was Phil Broder's brainchild there to put that press release out and get us in front of that. So you can see we have the week of youth leadership training for our older scouts, boys and girls, the end of June, NYLT, and then 4 weeks of camp. They are looking for camp staff, paid staff, and volunteer staff. Anyone 14 years old can apply for counselor in training. They have to be 15 years old to be on camp staff or older. And so Andy Dufault and Bob Walls are happy to talk to people about that. And there's an application online on the link there. And really starting to get excited. Anyone with aquatics training is greatly needed, shooting sports, particularly areas of need. But also just people that are available to help out. We really don't know what our staffing needs fully will be. We know what our minimal needs are. So if you're available, reach out to them. I don't want to get too deep into this because I can answer a few questions until Ellie gives me the cutoff sign. But really, there's 3 options: a full week of camp overnight, a short week for the first half of the week or the second half of the week, or come for the day only. And it doesn't matter what program you're in. All of those options exist. They will all be participating in the same summer camp program. That is our plan. So if they come for the day, they're going to jump right in with the Cub Scouts that are staying overnight, or the Scouts BSA that are staying overnight. Lots of questions about, well, if my scout comes for the day, can they be with their troop youth in their classes? That all depends on all the state regulations of who can blend when, where, and why. So we don't know the answer to that. But our focus, and I should say Bob and Andy's focus, and Rebecca's help also with the Cub program, is to have a outdoor scout-based program for our youth and families and leaders to the greatest extent possible, with as much as we're used to having at camp. So that's our focus. And if we can run camp the way we always have, we're going to. But we have to work within the regulations that have not been released yet. And it's just as frustrating to us. So the next piece is kind of, there's Cub Scout summer camp where they're under the leadership of the pack leaders, or they're under the troop or crew leadership. And then family camping is under the supervision of the families. One person in the family has to be a member of the Boy Scouts of America. That's the regulation for family scouting. They will be in a separate area because they do operate differently than our unit camping occurs. Okay? Any adult that comes, we're going to ask that they submit their YPT certificate, but they're going to participate in the same program. So if they have a Cub Scout age and a Scouts BSA age youth, they will participate in their programs under their family's supervision as needed. move around with their family for the weekend. So we're trying to make it accessible to the families that are concerned, but they want to have supervision of their youth, or they're just young and they want to be tried out. So we're trying that out this year. We're going to see how that goes. And these are the units that have already signed up, made a deposit. So we thank them. You can see them there on the screen. We know that there's others starting to join as well. So if your unit's ready to come, our council president, Jeff Glaze, has said, if in the event we can't run camp, we're not expecting that, but there will be full refunds to the families. So there's no risk in signing up for camp. And even our own camp refund policy is up to 30 days in advance as a full refund as well if the family makes that choice. So we'll revisit that as we get closer to camp and we get a sense of kind of how uncertain camp circumstances are. Ellie, is there time for any questions?
Sure, you've got time for a couple of questions. Another 2 or 3 minutes, and then we'll go on to Joshua and Fritz and yeah, those other things, but go for it.
Greg, do we have a theme for summer camp?
Yes, it's weird science for Cub Scouts and it's time travel for Scouts BSA and Ventures.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You guys are being easy on me.
Hey, Greg, if we have any scouts that are perhaps working on staff during summer camp and our unit is coming up, the scouts have asked, how will that be handled? For example, if they hold a position in the troop and want to participate.
I would encourage you to reach out directly to Bob Walls with that question for the logistics, because I don't know the answer to what their practice has been, but it's a good question.
I'll hit you with one other one. I should maybe know this one, but this came up a couple times. If we have some adults that, want to support the troop, but come up for half days or what have you, is there different registration requirements or fees that are needed?
I believe when the time comes for finalizing the adults, there's a way to choose how many days they'll be in and prorate for meals. I will get more information. I need to learn more about that as well, Sean. So we'll get back to you, but that's another great question for Bob Walls.
Man, all I know is you said that we were giving the easy way out, so I rose to the challenge to make sure that that was not the case today in front of everybody.
No, and one of the things I need to say about, day visitors in and out is we don't know how open or shut down our campus will be for visitors in and out. That doesn't necessarily mean that we won't be able to do what you're describing is a unit member coming in and out, but we're waiting for more guidance there. All right, Ellie, they're being really kind to me tonight, so I'm going to turn over the rest of the time to you, and
Right.
Thank you.
Andrew, is there anything you wanted to add to all of that?
I just wanted to say one thing about the theme for the Boy Scouts time travel. Just to clarify it a little better, our thought is each area in camp is going to be a different era in time. So someone might be medieval time, someone else might be Renaissance time. So you could dress up in any era of history, and then your whole troop could, it doesn't matter. The whole camp's not coming as one era of time. So please pick anything that's suitable for that you feel comfortable with for your troop, and you guys could all come the same. So when you come to camp, when you jump to each program area, they're going to all be different. I had a list from last year, and so I don't know if they're staying with the same themes or the same eras, but I will lock that down with them. But for the troops, it doesn't really matter. You can come with any time you know, whatever, you know, the Renaissance or anything like that.
Great, thank you. Joshua, you're up with any information from the council commissioner.
Good evening, everybody. First off, I would just like to say thank you to all of the units and unit leaders and adults and parents and so on that have worked so hard since charter renewal process started in October and now is officially done. So as of last evening, everything shut down. So thank you to all the commissioners for all the work that you have done in getting charters redone. This has been an interesting year, as they always are. If you have any last minute issues that need some type of assistance, please reach out to either myself or to, well, you should reach out to your district commissioner first. And if you can't get to them, then you can call me. But you know, if there's anything you need, please let me know. And that's all I have today. Thank you, Ellie.
All right, thank you. Right, Fritz, would you like to share anything about youth protection?
Yes, I just want to remind folks that people take youth protection and it's good for 2 years and then it quietly expires. Nobody sends out a notice saying that your youth protection is expiring. You have to keep track of that yourself. So if you could encourage someone in your unit to track that, to go to my.scouting, go to your units page and check out training manager and look at the youth protection pie chart. If it's all green, you're good. If there's a wedge of red in there, then somebody needs to renew, and you can find that out. You click on the wedge or click on a report and you can find out who needs to take it. I'm asking you all to do that. I spent many hours last year contacting folks, and I think it's easier for you to contact 1 or 2 people in your unit rather than me trying to contact 150 people in the council. So please be conscientious about that. If someone's expired, they really shouldn't be meeting with the youth in any manner or form. They need to get their youth protection up to date as quickly as possible. Thanks, Ellie.
All right, thank you, Fritz. Art, do you have anything from the Friends of Scouting that you'd like to share?
Again, thank you for all those units that have already signed up for Friends of Scouting. There are somewhere in the neighborhood of 25 units that have already signed up, whether they're signed up for a particular date or a date to be determined. Want to single out the one pack 168 that has already had their presentation, and one unit is having their presentation tomorrow evening. I'm still waiting on the link for that, but we can do Friends of Scouting remotely, or again, most of the meetings are 100% remote, but some are hybrid. So whatever you have, certainly please do sign up and let us do that. Also, just wanted to announce, and related to Friends of Scouting, is a new product sale that the council will be unveiling in the next 2 weeks. We posted on our Facebook site today, just a news is coming. The product sale is going to be during the month of May. So units may want to be able to take advantage of doing some fundraising to be able to pay for their summer outings and activities. Again, right now there's a poll up to see if you can guess what the product is that we will have available in May. And again, watch for that announcement on March 15th. Thank you for your time.
All right, thank you, Art. Let's see, oh, Cheryl, anything from membership, or are we still with the All In for Scouting?
Certainly all in for scouting. And excuse me, I do know that some units have held recruitments recently, those who can meet outside have done something like that and had some people come. Mostly it's folks inviting non-scouts to participate, but certainly continue this. We're also got some very exciting things coming down that we're looking into exploring, and some new opportunities. So keep your eyes out for that. Thank you, Ellie.
Okay, thank you, Cheryl. All right. District things from west to east. Rebecca, anything from AT? I see you shaking your head. Okay. And Mike from Metacomet?
Yeah, things are pretty quiet right now. We did have a very small but highly spirited Klondike Derby last month that was very successful. The district committee is meeting on Thursday night, and I would expect pretty soon the work on next year's calendar, district calendar, will start. So that's pretty much all we have.
Yeah, all right. All right, thank you very much. From General Knox, again, it's been quiet for us as well. We have our regular monthly commissioner and district committee meeting coming up. And that's about it from there. I do have a reminder from the Wood Badge staff that because I do see several people from the Wood Badge course on this meeting tonight. The ticket deadline is mid-March. So please, I know some people have been working, diligently and are really stepping it up. We really would like to see you succeed, and we know it's been a difficult time, but if you need any help, please reach out to any of us on staff. We really want to see you succeed as well. And then do we have anyone from the Order of the Arrow? Okay, seeing none, I will swing into this month's safety moment, which is all about the Guide to Safe Scouting.
Ellie,
The Guide to Safe Scouting, you all know, is online and available for you to download from there. Things that we need to remember about it, though, is to really know the guide and know the law. The laws differ between, Massachusetts, and if we're traveling with a unit or something now that things are starting to open up, know the laws of where we are going. Know the risks, know the restrictions, know the limits, things about the age-appropriate guidelines, know the program, know things like safe swim defense, shooting sports, manual things, climbing, those things. Please remember that this is not just a guide. It has the guidance, but it also has the policies. Things like the Scouter Code of Conduct, which we talked about earlier this year, and things like the barriers to abuse. So please take time, spend some time with the Guide to Safe Scouting, and be safe out there. All right. Are there any other questions before we go into breakouts? I want to give everybody a chance to ask anything that they need to about camp. I know it's going to be a hot topic, and I just want to make sure everybody has a chance to double check. And
real quick about the OA.
Sure.
The biggest thing I want to say about the OA is unit elections. Our goal is 100% unit contact. I'm going to add the link to the chat. The unit elections, you could either sign up for an election or a presentation. So we would love to do a presentation if you don't have anyone eligible for elections, or an election and a presentation. So if everyone could at least go on the link and and maybe come up with a date to do a presentation, we could come down and talk to you guys about the OA. So that's about it. But for the OA, like I said, I'll leave the link in the chat.
Great. Thanks, Andrew.
Ellie, do you see Mary has her hand up?
Great. Mary?
Hey, just wanted to correct the Wood Badge date. The tickets are actually due in by April 14th.
I thought I said mid-March. I mean mid-April, yeah.
I figured you did.
Yeah. Okay, thank you, Mary. All right, we can go into breakouts for 25 minutes, Greg?
So tonight we are going to play a game. So I'm looking forward to this. We're going. You guys may be familiar with this. It's a game called Kahoot. If you're not familiar with it, I guarantee your kids are familiar with it. Mine, I've done it. My pack loves this game when I play it with them. So if you're not familiar with it, you can either, if you want to play along, you can either download an app to your phone, or you can do it in a browser by going to Kahoot. That's KAHOOT.IT. And then I will share my screen, and we'll have a game pin, and you enter that game pin in, and you can play along. Basically, it's a quiz game if you're not familiar with it. Let me get my screen going here. All right. Share. And you guys, that's not the right screen. Hold on. What's going on here? Sorry, I'm having technical difficulties. Oh, there it is. Can you guys see the Kahoot screen, or no? Well, Bradley can, because he put his pin in. So, okay, you guys can see that, right?
So what do you have to do with that PIN number?
So you either go into and I'll give it a couple minutes, you go into the website or the app and you enter that PIN number, and then you're registered in for the game. And what we're going to talk about tonight is, this was a fun way to pull in the history of Cub Scouting. So I put together this Kahoot game to go through some of the history about Cub Scouting. Now you can, when you do Kahoot with your pack or with whatever group you want to, you can either create your own Kahoot, which is what I did, or there are some ones made by other folks that are public that you can use. My suggestion there is, if you use a public one, make sure you just preview it first, just to make sure it's appropriate if you're using it with Scouts. But we're going to talk about the history of Cub Scouting tonight. If you don't want to play on the Kahoot game, you can just play along on a piece of paper or whatever. That's fine as well. We'll give it a couple more minutes, or a minute or so, for people to register. We got 5 so far. 6. All right.
Apparently my computer's not liking me right now, so I'll play on paper.
All right, no problem. You know, when I do this for my pack, I have one kid, for whatever reason, doesn't have a second device handy or whatever. I don't know. But I see him up on the screen. He'll put up the little, there's different symbols, but it's mostly multiple choice, but he'll put up the symbol of his guess on with his fingers. It's kind of funny. But yeah, we'll give it we're still getting some more entries. All right. How many people do we have in the room, Rob? I'm just curious. Do you know?
I can get my own. 18.
18. We got 11. Is there anybody that wants to join in that hasn't yet? Oh, let's do it that way.
I'm trying.
You're trying. All right. We'll give Fran a minute here.
Do I do it on my phone? Is that what I have to do?
Yeah, if you do it on your phone, there's an app you need to install first, or you can do it through. You can do
no
it
wonder
through.
It won't work.
Yeah.
All right. How do I do it on this computer and play at the same time?
Open up a browser and go to Kahoot.it. It's this address up here.
Right. I tried that, but it wasn't cooperating. Doesn't that figure?
Yeah.
You should have had a course in this before the game, though.
Oh, come on. It's a crash course, Fran.
Yeah, well. All right. I'll just play on paper. Don't worry.
All right. All right. looks like we got about.
I'm not going to hold it up.
All right, so we're going to
So
get
I don't
started.
shout out the answers. Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah, don't shout out the answers. That's what I have to tell my Cub Scouts. Keep your answers to yourself. All right, so this is the history of Cub Scouting is our topic tonight. This is something I originally did this topic with my pack, but I made it harder for you guys because I figured you guys are pretty smart, so you guys can handle it. So I went through and redid some of the questions and made it a little harder. All right, you guys ready? Here we go. First question. Eventually. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Easy question here. When was the Boy Scouts of America incorporated? So select your answers. We're starting it off easy tonight.
Oh, good.
All right. February 8th, 1910 was the birth of Scouting. Next question. Oh, we got to do through the ranking. So if you're in the game, then you get rankings. Tara's in the lead so far. All right. Next question. A little trickier. What year did Ernest Thompson Seton develop the Cubs of America program? And this was a prototype program. So the answer is 1911. It was right after the founding of Scouting. So my research early in the history of the Boy Scouts, they recognized what they called the younger boy problem. So what was happening is often siblings of Scouts who were not quite old enough to participate in the program wanted to join in. At the time, BSA was just getting started, so there was some concern that adding younger boys into the program would have a negative effect. So this prototype was shelved and came up again later on, as you are well aware. Next question. Before we get the scorecard, Tara's still in the lead. Next question. When did the Wolf Cub program become an official part of the British Scouting program?
Guess.
Yeah, guess. Yes. I told you I made this hard for you guys. 1916. So Sir Robert Baden-Powell published the Wolf Cub Handbook in 1916. The interesting part was within a couple of years, the BSA had secured the rights to the American version of the printing of this book. And BSA actually sold this book for a number of years, and several or quite a few unofficial U.S. Wolf Cub packs had formed in that time. All right, next question. I always forget about the rankings. Oh, Bradley moves into the lead here.
Fix.
In what year was the cubbing program introduced by the BSA? This one should be a little easier. $1930. That's correct. Most of you got it right. So the program was introduced initially in 1930 as a controlled experiment. Cub packs were permitted by the BSA to register beginning on April 1st, 1930. And cubbing remained experimental until 1933 when it became an official program of the BSA. All right, moving on. Rebecca moves up into the lead. Next question. What were the original Cub Scout ranks?
Wolf, bear, lion.
What'd you say, Fran?
But no, quiet.
Hey, Fran.
I
Wolf,
only know,
bear,
I know that
lion.
because my husband. was-
Oh, yep. Originally, it was wolf, bear, lion when
Yeah,
cubbing
wolf,
was
bear, lion.
formed.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to talk out loud.
That's all right, Fran. We'll
Oh,
forgive you.
yes, you did.
All right, and Bradley retakes the lead. All right, next question. This is one you're going to have to guess. How many Cub Scouts were registered in 1936? And I picked this date for a reason, but we'll get to there.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember it well.
Well, you should, Peter.
Yeah, I know.
The answer is 114,515. Now that's significant for two reasons. So that's the first year that cubbing registrations exceeded 100,000. And it's also the first year in which the registration for cubbing was more than 10% of the total boys registered in the scouting program. So in 6 years, you saw significant growth in the program. At the time, there are also more than 19,000 pack leaders registered. And also of note, in 1936 was the first year that den mothers could optionally register. Prior to that, they were not permitted to register at all, and they would not be required to register until 1948.
Who got that right?
Somebody got it right. One of you was smart. No,
It was me, the terror.
Oh, God. Oh, God, of all people.
And Tara's back
Good,
in
Tara.
the lead.
Good for you.
All right. Next question. What does Weeblos stand for?
Oh, we know that one.
You get this one wrong, you've got to go back to training. Peter Isaac taught this to me a long time ago.
Yeah.
Look at that. Look at that.
All right. Impressive. I would have also taken Wolf, Bear, Lion, Scout because that was the original. When the Weeblos rank was introduced in 1941. Am I reading the right one? Yeah. It was introduced for boys that had already earned the Lion badge and were 12 or 11 and a half years old. Initially, it stood for a combination of the cubbing ranks at the time, but later, obviously, the original Lion rank was later taken out of the program, and they changed the meaning later on to the one we know and love today, and that's the one everybody guessed. All right, and Mystery Man is moving up in the ranks. Tara still remains in the lead. All right.
Tara, there is no prize, you know.
Yeah, I know. In what year were the first official blue and gold banquets held?
Before my time. Peter, do you remember?
Yeah, didn't know.
1943 was the first year as official. Prior to that, in the 30s, there was often family dinners held as part of the cubbing program, but it became an official part of the program in 1943. And it's typically, as you guys probably know, typically held in early February to coincide with the birth or the anniversary of the founding of BSA. Next. Oh, we got to do the. John Wick moves into the lead. We had a big jump up from a couple of players there. Ooh.
That's Gavin. Gavin is John
their
Wick.
history book.
All right. What change was made to the program in 1945?
Hello, Mr. Dunlap. I sent you an email.
All right. Cubbing was changed to Cub Scouting. Yeah, so we had a name change in 1945. The old term of cubbing was replaced by Cub Scouting. The other things all happened, but at later dates. There may be questions on some of them later on. All right, Mystery Man's moving up. John Wick remains in the lead. Ooh. All right, question 10. When was the first unofficial Pinewood Derby held? (1953). All right, four of you got it right. So the first Pinewood Derby was held by a pack, I believe, out in California in 1953. 2 years later, in 1955, the Pinewood Derbies were an official event of Cub Scouts and introduced by the BSA. Cheryl and Peter move up into the lead. Ooh. All right.
Peter was there. Not you, Cheryl, just Peter.
All right, next question. When was the National Summertime Award introduced?
Oh, sure.
We're getting into more recent history.
Gee, that a hint?
Well, (1964).
You misled us.
Well, it's sort of more recent.
Well, not as recent as most of us said.
Yeah, it's still less recent than most of it. I mean, not many of us were born then. Anyway, so 1964, this award was introduced to encourage packs to hold events year-round. As you know, it still exists today and is now part of your Journey to Excellence scores. If you earn that will give you some points in Journey to Excellence. All right. Next scoreboard, John Wick retakes the lead.
John Wick is in first.
All right, when was the Lion rank discontinued? (1967). So in 1967, there was an overhaul of the Cub Scout program. At this time, the Lion rank was discontinued and replaced with a revised Webelos program. And John Wick maintains the lead, but Tara's climbing back. All right. When were the Tiger Cubs added?
Yes.
1982. I think Fran got that one right.
Got that one.
How can you tell?
My son was born that year.
So that one makes me feel old because Tigers weren't around when I was a Cub Scout. So
No.
all right. John Wick maintains the lead, but Bradley's he's got a pretty good lead at this point, but Bradley's moving up. All right, next question. 2 more questions to go. when was the Webelos program expanded to 2 years?
Can I change my answer? No, it's too late.
Too late. 1986. So the ranks in 1986, they revamped some things, and the ranks became primary aligned with the grade in school instead of age. And at that point, the Webelos program was expanded to cover the 4th and 5th grade years. A couple of years after that, the PACs were encouraged to have the second year Webelos wrap up and cross over sometime in February or March, so that they had time to get used to being in a troop before the summer came. What they were finding is they were having a lot of scouts drop out when the summer came around. So the suggestion was to move up that crossover a little bit, so they had some time before the school year ended with the troop. And Cheryl and Peter are moving back up into second place. I think John Wick pretty much has first wrapped up with one question to go. In 2012, 3 councils, including ours, began a pilot program called what?
Oh, I knew that. My gosh, about time I got one right.
Should know it. I should know it.
Lions.
Yeah,
You're
look at
right.
that.
So just a little personal history there with that one. 2012, my oldest son came home from kindergarten very excited because somebody had visited his school and talked about scouting. And because of that, you have me here with you tonight. So
Are you bringing this program over to the same exact quiz over to Scouts BSA next month? I think it would be great for the crews and the troops to learn about this stuff.
I can do that if the
but it has to be Cub Scout related.
Yeah, I'll do it if the BSA commissioners want me to do it. I'll gladly do it.
Well, you talk to Ellie.
I will talk to the boss. I certainly will.
Yeah, me too.
All right, third place, Bradley.
Woo!
Second place, Cheryl and Peter.
Yeah.
And first place, John Wick.
Who's John Wick? Will the real John Wick please stand up?
I'm John Wick.
I should have known.
Gavin.
All right. So that was our little quiz. I hope you guys enjoyed.
That was cute.
Like I said before, I skipped having a Kahoot in my PAC meeting 1 month, and we've been doing them since, all this has gone down. And I skipped it 1 month, and the boys are like, "What? No Kahoot this month? What do you?" So I have to do them now. They love them, but they could get all the answers wrong, but they're still having a good time. So we have about 2 minutes left. Anything else anybody wants to talk about for a couple of minutes?
Is Kahoot a free program to download any questions or?
Yeah, so you can for free, you can go in and create Kahoots, or you can use pre-created ones. You're limited, for the free version, you're limited to either multiple choice or true false. If you do the paid version, there's a couple other question types, but quite frankly, I can't figure out, one's to type in the answer, which doesn't really work for Cub Scouts because not all of them read. And the other is, there's a couple other question types, but I think multiple choice and true false give you a good platform to work from, and that's all I've ever needed. Any other comments, questions, anything? Is Gavin bragging about first place, Melanie?
Of course he is.
I think that was a fix.
Hey, he beat me.
Yeah, I'm not sure how the youngest person here won the history of Cub Scouting, but
I got You did
Who's
not, Josh. Josh was on too.
Oh, was it?
They play Kahoot with each other at school all the time.
Oh, I'm sure. It's one of those things I'd never heard of, but now that we've been in this virtual world, it's all I hear about.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them you may not be so familiar with. And we're going to cover tonight a brief discussion of venturing, sea scouting, and exploring, which all really focus on the 14 to 20-year-olds or the older youth or teen programs, they're also called. Strangely enough, all three of these programs have common history or genealogy developing out of sea scouting in kind of changed and morphed and split up over the past 100 years or so. But we'll start off, thank you, with a little history. So of course, in 1910, the BSA was founded. 2 years later, a program for older boys, sea scouting, was started. And that was based also on a program of the British Scout Association, started for older boys as well. In 1935, Sea Scouts became part of senior scouting, which included something called Explorer Scouts, which you may recognize as being very similar to venturing, and Air Scouting, which does not exist anymore, or does it? I think it does, and it's called Aviation Exploring. In 1950, all of senior scouting was rebranded as Exploring and incorporated Explorers, which were formerly Explorer Scouts, Air Explorers, and Sea Explorers. In 1969, the first BSA program to allow girls to register was Exploring. They were participating for about a year or so before as associates or guests, not non-registered, but they became full members, and it was our first traditional program at the time. It was a traditional program. In 1998, some of you remember this, BSA transferred career-oriented exploring post to Learning for Life, which was a wholly owned subsidiary of the BSA. We retained the outdoor hobbies, sports, other interest post as venturing crews, and our sea exploring ships became sea scouting, at that time umbrellaed under venturing, and a couple of years ago spun off into a standalone program. And this one here, I don't have the exact date, it was in the past 10 years. Learning for Life became an affiliate of BSA rather than a wholly owned subsidiary, with their own standalone executive board, and they are a 501c3 corporation, separate and distinct from the BSA, but an affiliate and partner with the BSA. And next slide, please. And something here which I found to be kind of helpful is a brief comparison. Most of us are familiar with Scouts BSA. Many of us with venturing and sea scouting, not so many with exploring. And this shows some of the program nomenclature and how it compares across the board with the organizations. I apologize in the bottom, this was culled from another briefing. So I've got the exploring logo jammed in there, and it actually says uniform, showing the uniform requirements or expectations of the program. So we can kind of see, comparing some of the structure, our bread and butter program, Scouts BSA, we see the troop with the adult leader, the youth leader. We're seeing the name of the participant. And they're very similar across Scouts, Venturing, and Sea Scouts. Some differentiation in terminology as we get into exploring. The units are club or post, and exploring actually also goes down the middle school level, 10 and a half, 11 to 13, in something called clubs. A fairly recent development within that program. If you compare exploring and venturing, they also look very similar with some of the terminology with the president, advisors, although exploring, if you have one of our popular programs, law enforcement or fire EMS, they may use different terminology. Instead of president, they may be called captains, lieutenants instead of vice presidents, to follow the law enforcement or fire agency nomenclature. They renew annually. They don't renew a charter. They have a participating agreement or memorandum of agreement as opposed to a charter agreement, or MOU, excuse me, memorandum of understanding. Their exploring units are serviced by commissioners, but also by something called the service team. And the service team terminology is kind of old with exploring. We are looking at possibly actually looking at trying to rename that into service team commissioners to be more in line with BSA's other programs. But a commissioner can service exploring units. A service team commissioner at this time cannot service Scouts, BSA, Venturing, Sea Scouts, or Cub Scouting. Youth run, all 4 programs should be youth run. We see the age breakout. Couple of the big things I see, we've got, of course, our traditional BSA programs, duty to God. Under exploring, it says not required. And what that means, it does not mean explorers do not believe in God. It does not mean they can't say a prayer at a meeting. It just means it's not a requirement for membership as our traditional programs are. We got some history for that. I won't spend a lot of time getting into that right now. We can always discuss that later, or you can reach out to me at any time if you like to hear some of my more boring stories. And again, talking about uniforming. So something really interesting, of course, we have the traditional Scouts BSA uniform. Venturing crews can wear the BSA provided venturing shirt and trousers or shorts. Sea Scouts, up until recently, had naval type uniforms. That's been replaced by the official Sea Scout uniform. And exploring, it's based on the club or post membership, similar to venturing. Law enforcement, fire, EMS will wear uniforms similar to those professions. Auto mechanics would wear something similar to auto mechanics work uniform. Medical or science may wear lab coats, medical smocks, so on. Culinary arts, chef's jacket, different things like that. It's not required. Most of them will have, I don't know if the accounting kids wear, if it's pinstripes, I don't know. It might probably be a polo shirt. That's kind of in a nutshell the similarities, and there's actually more in common between all our programs than there are differences. Next, please.
Okay, so I've got a few venturing leaders that are kind of tapped to help me here with this part of the presentation. Most of you who have seen me in person know that I tend to wear the green venturing uniform as I'm a leader in that program, but you also probably know George Adams and Mary Benjamin, and we are all venturing leaders. So I will present a couple of the presentations points here, but then I'll also ask Mary to present the last 3. So venturing is a program that's, as was mentioned, is spun off from exploring in 1998. We've had some units in our council that are almost that old, and it's a great program, mostly high adventure based. And the idea of the venturing program is to teach leadership through adventure. We use the ALPS model, which stands for adventure, leadership, personal growth, and service. And now, Mary, if you want to take over.
Sure. So the crews are more of a high adventure based program, as he mentioned, with the leadership being through adventure. But they don't have to be high adventure based. I know we do have a crew that specially goes for climbing. But not everybody's like that. So like we have a camp staff crew that's made up of camp people that like to camp. But it can also be anything from scuba to ATVs to backpacking to, faith, whatever your hobbies are, anything like that. The venturing, because it's not career oriented, can be hobby oriented, which is a little bit different in the program. Again, they all have ranks and recognitions and awards. There's a venturing award, the Discovery, Pathfinder, Summit, and Ranger, the Quest, and Trust, and it goes on. There's other awards available. They definitely focus on the social experiences in addition to whatever their focus is. With the venturing crews, the experiences that I've had have been a lot about getting to know each other, team building, having fun, doing things along with some recognition, some advancement built into it, depending on how it was structured. But really, they have a lot of fun doing their activities, and they have a lot of fun getting together. So it definitely is more of a social program than strictly advancement based.
Thank you, Mary. George, if I don't mind putting you on the spot for just a minute, could you unmute and just tell us quickly, would you suggest that a venturing crew is a good program to have along with a troop? I know you have some experience with sort of integrating the two.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I can say honestly, years ago, before I got involved with the crew, and I'm going to say maybe it's been 10 years ago, believe it or not, I was against the venture crew program simply because as a scoutmaster, I looked at it as a program that's poaching scouts from our troop. And, but as I learned more about the crew, and what I've been able to do was adopt the crew program. Years back, I actually made a crew patrol within our troop. So the older scouts had, other things they wanted to do, not with the younger scouts, so they became just like adventure oriented. We're going to, what have you, we were going to do a canoe trip in the summer, but that's just for the older scouts, 14 and up, and that allowed the older scouts to still come to troop meetings and be more and stay active, because after 2-3 years they have a tendency, they're tired of teaching first aid, and they're tired of working with younger kids, because now they're getting older and they start to realize that younger scouts can be annoying like they were when they crossed over. So yeah, so it definitely opened my eyes, and once I realized it actually strengthened our troop. And then today I'm part of a venture crew. And right now, like Matt can tell you, we have quite a few scouts from Troop 7 in Brimfield that are members in Crew 168. So and I hear the boys talk about the crew. They see a lot of what we've done in the past. And those scouts, the older scouts, just want to do, other older scout stuff. They don't want to keep going to troop meetings and just doing the younger stuff. And so it's definitely keeps them engaged. And again, it's a lot of the ranks are similar. So when you have a scout in your troop and they join the crew, it's dual membership, doesn't cost any more money national wise. It doesn't, they can continue working on their scout ranks and stuff. And if they choose to, I have a few scouts in the venture crew that want the ranks. There's a group of them that don't. The Summit Award is equivalent roughly to Eagle. I mean, my son got both. He has, both awards. They are a lot of work, as you know, getting Eagles. So Summit's the same way. But it, if you have that scout that's driven to, would get Eagle twice, well, then I encourage him to join the venture crew and get the Summit Award. So.
Thank you, George. I'm going to pass it on to the other presenters, but I wanted to kind of emphasize that because that's true of all of the programs we're discussing, and that they kind of complement scouting. So I think we can probably discuss that as we move into the next program. And I have Joshua Hall on deck with his snappy uniform of Sea Scouts, who's going to talk about Sea Scouting.
So as Rick pointed out earlier, Sea Scouting is just 2 years younger than the BSA program itself. And over time, there has been a lot of change in what the Sea Scouting program has entailed. It has traditionally been a program for scouts that enjoy working on various different ideas that have to do with ships. But the reality of Sea Scouting is that you do not, it doesn't have to focus around a boat. You don't actually even really have to have a body of water in order to be active in Sea Scouting and to have an interest in Sea Scouting. But, the idea of getting wet probably is a good idea to go along with the theme. So there are today numerous Sea Scout units. Some of them have to do with a larger boat. Others simply have to do with scuba. So you don't necessarily have to have a large body of water. And it's interesting looking within the history of the Western Massachusetts Council that there have been a number of Sea Scout ships throughout its history. Currently, we have one, but that is always something that we are willing to change, and we can have as many ships as we would like. So when it comes to Sea Scouting, if you are the traditional Sea Scout program that likes to deal with boating, you can use any type of boats that you prefer. So you can have a paddlecraft, you can have a sailboat, anything that you have available. Rick Belford and I just recently went through one of the adult training courses, which is called Sea Badge. And during that time period, I learned that a BOAT actually is an acronym, which means break out another 1,000, which, you know, for those individuals who have a larger boat, for those units that have larger boats, that is probably an accurate thing. But the program itself, you know, based on scouting, it's about leadership development, and it's about learning that particular side, you know, the weather and the knots and the charting and various different things along those lines. Again, during the Sea Badge adventure that we went on, I met one of the members of my unit, of my crew, actually was from Nevada, an entirely landlocked place. There's not a body of water near that individual, but that's why her specific sea scouting ship is more tied to scuba than anything else. So there are a number of opportunities. While working on sea scouting, there's the opportunity to learn about all sorts of different material that relates to maritime programs. And there's also a lot of opportunity for units to work with other maritime groups, whether it is the US Coast Guard, perhaps there is another boating entity within the community. Perfect opportunity to work side by side. In many instances, a lot of the boating organizations within our council, they're looking for a youth program. So Sea Scouting is the perfect opportunity to kind of blend these two together. There is, similar to venturing, a rank system, and like George just said, there are units that traditionally work on the various different ranks, apprentice, orderly, able, and then quartermaster. Quartermaster is the equivalent in Sea Scouting to Eagle Scout. But there are a number of units that don't work on the rank advancement. It's, you know, it's specifically to work on the advancement of whatever that particular ship is working on. And, you know, after working with the quartermaster, there are many other opportunities available to Sea Scouts, whether it is taking the test to qualify for the US Coast Guard license as a captain. There are also other training opportunities. There is a training opportunity called SEAL, which is similar to NYLT based for Sea Scouting. And then, of course, you know, who wouldn't want to go down to Florida to Sea Base and then go on a trip to anywhere and use the skills that you've used. So as I said, there's only one ship currently in our council, that is ship 303. But if anybody is interested in talking more about Sea Scouting, I'd be more than happy to talk to them. And I know Rick would also like to do that as well.
Okay, thank you. I have to say, talking about your shipmate, Joshua, from Nevada, my brother is a scouter also. We grew up in the Great Trails Council, one of our predecessor councils. He's also an Eagle Scout, and he's living in Tucson, Arizona, where there are 3 ships in Tucson, Arizona. So, yeah, we can't have that in Western Mass. Come on, we have a lot of rivers and lakes and things here. So exploring. Again, we all have a common bond between the programs. You've probably noticed the pattern of social activity, leadership, citizenship, character development, and those are common among all our programs. What exploring does is, I think there's a lot of folks that aren't really involved with it since the split back in '98. It's sometimes just looked at as, well, it's just a career program or jobs training program, but it's still a BSA affiliate. It's a character development program, except exploring uses, instead of boats, scuba, camping, high adventure, arts and hobbies, or faith, it's using auto mechanics, bookkeeping, EMT, law enforcement, robotics, whatever a young person is interested in for possible career. So Most kids that age are interested in learning about a profession or trade that they possibly could try out and look forward to after graduation from high school. Do they need to go to college? Do they have to go to trade school? Do they want to apprentice? Do they want to go in the military and pick up a trade? There's a lot of choices and options. So it's a good program for kids that are kind of looking for that, and it does complement our other programs, as Joshua and George mentioned earlier. There are 12 career areas to specialize in. So a post will specialize in one area, usually. And it could be a larger grouping like public safety, which could include fire, police, EMT, or it could be a standalone law enforcement, communication, computer coding, whatever the kids are interested in. Similar to the BSA, that explorer can join as many posts as he or she wants for that one membership fee they pay. Caveat is exploring is a separate program from an affiliate agency. So your BSA registration doesn't allow you to multiple cross to exploring or vice versa. So within exploring, yes, you can join multiple units, multiple positions. Within BSA, you can do that. You would pay another fee to belong to either or. Again, 12 areas. Top of my head, I won't go into those. But it involves like law enforcement, fire, EMS, healthcare, business, communications, skilled trades are some of them. Aviation is one. I mentioned Air Scouts in the intro, and that morphed into aviation exploring. And a host of other areas, almost anything you can think of. Social services is in there. Some of the things kind of cross over. Youth, a number of youth may have an interest in some area that could fall into one or more categories, and that's fine. We just pick one, we set up the post and let them run. For the middle schoolers and the clubs, there are career awareness awards in each of the 12 areas. They can earn one or any of those. And likewise for the teen members, the high schoolers and junior college folks, they have a career achievement award in again, each of the 12 areas. So a fire service explorer could get the fire service award, but he or she could also get the business exploring award, the aviation award, by completing different requirements, and they would earn that recognition. Something coming up soon. Unfortunate, I didn't really mention my background. I slipped Great Trails Council, so I'm an old dog. But I'm also involved on the National Commissioner Service team as an exploring subject matter expert. So we are kind of hammering out some ideas for the programs in working the closeness between traditional BSA. And something we're looking at for exploring is exploring leadership experience, which is the title right now. And that would be something similar to Eagle Summit and Quartermaster, a recognition at the higher level for young people in exploring to take with them, put on a resume, a college application, job application, and get them a recognition of the highest level. And again, as we are a BSA affiliate, explorers, their adult advisors, the clubs fully participate in council district activities, as well as they go Jamboree, Philmont Treks. They can attend Sea Badge, which, by the way, we'll do a commercial for Sea Badge, reasonably priced, virtual. And I think Joshua will echo my sentiments. It was a lot of fun. It really was. And I would recommend it to any scouter working with older youth across any program. I think you'll find something great to take away from it, aside from meeting some great folks. So we do use explorers and councils. We presently have nothing going on for exploring. We had some law enforcement posts a couple of years ago, but currently part of our goal for new units is to kind of build that as well as our traditional programs. And you'll see things like culinary arts post in some councils catering a council recognition dinner. Or I'm thinking other ways too. As a former camp director, I'm thinking, great, you grab these folks or camp staff for food service. It would be a great thing too. Law enforcement, you think of security at camporees, crowd control, parking, fire, EMS, setting up a first aid station. Those are kind of obvious, and a lot of us have seen those units in the past. I knew of a post in New Hampshire that was a music and band post.
Any last minute questions or comments before we go to closing?
I would just suggest if anybody has questions for Rick or any of the other leaders of the older youth programs, feel free to reach out to us. We'd be happy to follow up, have a conversation, because these programs are exciting to everybody, and we want to try to promote them as much as possible. So questions are always welcome.
All right. Okay. So we'll go to sharing the screen. And we'll with spring right around the corner, we have a lot to look forward to. And after the Scouts BSA venturing session tonight, we have a lot of other groups to think about as well. So get ready for spring and summer and have a great, great month of March.